Hello and welcome to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. I'm Tharandu Amarasekara. Our focus today will be on a very common concern that is echoing in business circles, among the community and even in the parliament. Sri Lanka is out of dollars. That's a common topic that we hear doing the rounds everywhere. But what are the real solutions for this? Now, we always talk about moving beyond the traditional exports. What about IT? What about the potential of IT? We have spoken about this before. However, today we will be speaking with an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur who has moved on to creating his own business in this sector and creating more job opportunities for Lankan IT talent to meet the requirements and the demands of the world. Please join me in welcoming today's guest of the show, who is none other than Anushka Bandara, CEO and co-founder of Elegant Media. Anushka, absolute pleasure to have you and welcome to Bisnomics.
Sure. Thanks, Tyrell. Thanks for inviting me for your show.
Anushka, let's get to the crux of the matter here. The role of IT services or the role of IT exports. We always talk about going beyond Sri Lanka's traditional export basket of tea, coconut, rubber and even apparel for that matter. Now, IT, a lot of potential there. What role do you see for IT in being a massive boost to the Lankan exports? Let's start with that.
Yeah, sure. Because as you said, traditionally we've been relying on tea, coconut and rubber for years and decades. So then later on the manufacturing, especially the apparel industry, the garment we can consider as a manufacturing. And then late 70s, we have started tourism. And what is now? Now it should be professional services, which is including IT. And as a country, when you when you into agriculture, so you have to wait for a long time to results to come. So because you won't get the crop straight away.
Correct.
So you have to wait till 2, 3, 4, 5 years or 10 years maybe. And also the manufacturing. Manufacturing also like a huge investment. So you have to put like a lot of asset, lot of resources into manufacturing. The tourism, so the industry itself, it's industry run by itself. And because we got the natural resources, we got the best culture, and we got the great food, and even the Australian Prime Minister is into Sri Lankan cuisine. And but all those, apart from tourism, so other two sectors will take a bit more time. But we are in a crisis situation, and what's the shortest solution? And IT industry being an industry for $1.5 billion worth of industry since 2015. So at Slashcom, we were talking about to boost the industry to 5 billion by 2020.
And you are saying it is possible, the potential is there.
Yeah, of course. But unfortunately, we haven't reached to 5 billion. So we are still at the same level, 1.5 billion. Who to blame? So you got to think about the education system, and you have to train more and more skillful individuals into IT industry.
I think that's a very valid thought, Anushka, in terms of what changes we need to do and something definitely worth exploring further in our discussion. I want to share a story with you, with your permission. A few days back, while heading home, I came across a cab, and from the way he spoke and all, you could figure out that this is not your ordinary cab guy. So I said, you don't sound like the ordinary average cab guy. Tell me your story. He said, sir, well, I'm into IT services. Myself and two other friends, we have set up a IT services company. We have 15 people working for us. And what we do is we undertake tech support for certain American companies. We work from 7 in the night till 7 in the morning. And minimum, we earn from each company around $5,000 to $10,000 each month. That into 3 is $30,000. And that got me thinking, Anushka, if 3 tech guys together with 13, 14 others can be earning about $30,000 per month, what about if we took a proper structured approach? There would be tremendous potential. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, definitely, because there's amazing opportunities and amazing individuals in the industry. Because you have to like support the IT entrepreneurs, because if there is a support, like if there is like any motivation and there's encouragement for the IT entrepreneurs, so they will start the businesses, because the startups are very tough, not only in Sri Lanka, all over the globe. So once you start a company, 2-3 guys together, so after 6 months or 12 months time, you started to see the challenges. So that's why 90% of startups are at a failure. So if you can support financially as well as emotionally those entrepreneurs to run their business, grow their business, we can reach to a level that 10% in Sri Lanka can be 20%, because there's a support. Correct. So I always talking about like we should have a vibe here. We had like a lot of vibes here, people into agriculture and people into drawing pictures on the walls. Correct. Why can't you have a vibe for the entrepreneurship? Why can't you have a vibe for the start to export businesses? So every corner here, we have got someone imports something from overseas and sell here. Why can't you like turn it around? So you should like motivate the community. We have like a responsibility to motivate local entrepreneurs to start the business and run the business and earn dollar and into the export business.
Correct. Now, when you say ICT solutions or IT solutions, it's a very wide term, Anushka, right? It can be developing software, developing web solutions, mobile solutions, and also you have areas of artificial intelligence, and there is so many various different sub areas of IT that are being spoken about today. My question to you is, where do you see a potential for Sri Lanka? Because if you try to look at areas of mass scale software development, I don't think we are anywhere close to competing with India, because India will probably have much more talented people perhaps, but at a much lower cost than Sri Lanka. But where do Sri Lankans have the advantage in this ICT industry in a more global perspective?
Yeah, of course. We have got the talent. You have to improve the talent. So you have to give them the skill. So I always believe we have got the high-end IT talent in Sri Lanka.
High-end IT talent.
High-end IT talent. So when you're talking about the machine learning, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, so we got the talent here. So they need to be well trained, and then they will deliver what you required. And same time, so we should focus on the startup level skill set, like IT support and the basic programming, basic web developer, basic app developer, because there is like a market for that area as well. And when we're talking about how India capturing the market, they have got like a more common IT guys. And all other Western countries, they're working on the strategic IT solutions. So okay, they are the people like who working on Eastern Europe and Europe, America.
They're working
Australia.
On the next big thing.
Next big thing. So once they invented something, so that's going to pass it to the countries like India. So then everyday developers working on the project. So when talking about Sri Lanka, as I said, we got the top talent. And you have to segment the market into two areas. One is like who's working on the top level stuff, and the others are who's working on the daily basis, the IT solution, web development, app development.
So what you're saying is Sri Lanka should go for these high-end specializations of IT.
I feel like you can't really win the market just focusing on high-end IT solution. Yes, that should be your focus, but it will take again more time when people train into high-end IT solution. But say as an example, so if you wanted to hire an artificial intelligence engineer or the machine learning, so your focus is to hire someone who study engineering. And so someone to study engineering, it's a 4 or 5 year course.
Correct.
So then you have got the limited resources. But we got like human resources in Sri Lanka. So if you wanted to train someone for web development, app development, or IT support, you can do that in a 1 year period. You can do that in a 2 year period. So that's why I always talking about, all right, 2 segment, train good people into there, and the average person into here, they also can move into the top level later on.
So Sri Lankans can play a role or exploit the opportunities across the spectrum of the IT industry and not just one area. That's what you're
That's
saying.
exactly right.
Excellent. When you look at Sri Lanka as a tech hub, now we always hear of India as a tech hub. Bangalore is the digital city.
Yeah.
Israel is known for, Tel Aviv is one of the top IT cities. And Anushka, let's face the reality. Even Dhaka, Bangladesh, today is seen as one of the best emerging tech hubs. What's happening to Sri Lanka's image as a tech hub? Now, you are an IT entrepreneur, you have your operation, you have your company set up in Australia, you're serving with the local talent, Sri Lankan talent, you're serving the Australian market, US market. It's a great success story to hear. But you obviously see things from a more global perspective. Where do you see Sri Lanka's image as an IT hub? Is that image growing, or are we losing that image? Because honestly, it looks like while everyone is running the race at 100 meters, we seem to be taking it a bit slow in terms of our progress. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And 20 years ago, Bangalore and Sri Lanka are pretty much in the same level.
Neck to neck.
Neck to neck. And what happened to Bangalore and where we are at now? Because they have grown things faster and faster. They have opened their market. They have trained their individuals into IT. And last 20 years, what sort of encouragement we have got this student in Sri Lanka to study IT? And the biggest problem as a global software company, what we are facing is lack of talent here. So we are failing to find enough resources, enough software engineers to fulfill our vacancies. So
You yourself you're facing that challenge.
yes, of course, the industry itself, what you call that, about like 100,000 people working in the industry need about 250,000 people. So because I'm a Sri Lankan born founder, because I need the staff here, I run the company here. If I am from somewhere, if I don't have any connection in Sri Lanka, or if I don't have like any emotional connection in here, so then pretty much I move my company to somewhere else. As you said, India, Bangalore, you can find like a 1.2 billion people in India, and you can find more resources. Also Bangladesh, Dhaka, and you can find more engineers. But in Sri Lanka, we got the resources. So when you're talking to everyday individual, they like to study IT. They like to work in a professional industry. They like to work in a white-collar job. But do they have the talent? They have talent. Do they have a skill? And how you going to fulfill that skill gap? So you got to start in somewhere, follow a course, coming into the industry. Even if you are in your mid-career crisis, like someone in their late 30s, if you wanted to change your career, if you like to come into the industry, you can follow a course. There's a lot of courses. So I have seen like many individuals in recent past who said, I wanted to jump into IT industry. I asked why? Because very exciting and you can earn more. So then why don't you take the initiatives? Says, where can I start? So we should have like these short courses at the university, and there's some online courses. Follow a course and come into the industry and help Sri Lanka to build the quite skill base and become a developed country.
Anushka, when you look at the Sri Lankan curriculum, now if you look at globally, even in schools, they are teaching IT, practical IT. In Sri Lanka, we have all studied IT in school in some way or the other. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but when we were in school, we had one whole period for the entire week.
Same.
Yes. Yeah. Now, we have to, I believe, change that model, if I'm not mistaken. What IT skills do you think we need to be training our students, school level students, from what age or what grade should we start it? And when they come out of school, what basic IT skills do you think they need to have than what they have already?
Yeah. So I feel in nowadays, like a modern day, everybody should have the IT literacy. So I'm not talking about like high-end software programming. So you should know how to use a computer. And with the smartphone, even the person on the street, so they know how to download an app, how to use an app.
They say in Sweden, even homeless people accept donations through a mobile phone app.
Exactly. So, so that basic IT literacy has to be given before the O-level exam. So, which mean like year 9 to year 11. So after that, traditionally we had the physical science stream, the biology and the commerce and arts. So now I know like they started to teach IT, which means like a student can take IT as a subject. Even you study maths, commerce, or arts, so you can still like take IT as a subject. So which is good. And so I feel like after O levels, so when they enter into year 12, yes, that's the right time for you to decide the career path where you want to pursue. So in that, so the problem is now, so still like not enough students take IT as a subject. So why? Because they don't have like enough knowledge and nobody advised them, because at past nobody follow this process.
Correct.
People reluctant to take something new, and so you should motivate, encourage the student after they finish their O levels, take software engineering IT as a subject when they are doing the A
Some
levels.
important points there, Anushka. We are going to come back to you on more details on that. Stay tuned. We will be back after this short break. This is Bisnomics. Welcome back to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. I'm Tarandu Amrasekara. Our focus today is on IT exports from Sri Lanka. What do we need to do? What do we need to get right? And we are in conversation with Anushka Bandara. Anushka, now if you look at developing an industry like IT, yes, the entrepreneurs are doing their thing, the executives, managers are doing their thing, the citizens are doing their thing, but I strongly believe that when you're talking about growing an industry of a country, growing it from $1.5 billion to $5 billion, I believe the government also has a major role to play. You're a Sri Lankan born IT entrepreneur running a very successful enterprise in Australia with the talent from Sri Lanka. This is the ideal model for growing our IT sector as well. But let me ask from you, and I want an honest answer from this, and I hope the right people are watching and listening to your concerns here. What kind of support do you need from the government authorities in growing the IT services exports of Sri Lanka? What is the role that government has to play, apart from just coming and saying we need to grow IT, we need to grow IT, we need to grow IT? They're talking about it, but I don't think they're doing anything. What are your thoughts?
The energy, the power. The government should prioritize who they're going to provide the power. So IT as an export business, so what you require from the government. So IT companies, they don't ask anything more apart from the energy. So if the government provide constant supply of fuel, constant supply of the electricity, yes, we don't have any issue. And so we got like minor issues, but we don't have any major issues. So when you, what's the problem we have here is the dollars. We don't have enough foreign currency. So how are you going to?
I think I think the word is not enough. We don't have any foreign currency as at now.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have any foreign currency right now. So how are you going to earn foreign currency? So through the export business. So IT has a key role. So when you wanted to earn foreign currency, your business has to be run. So what it requires, what's the basic requirement the government should support for a business to run has to be supplied. I mean, I understand government also is in enormous pressure, but when you prioritize who or which companies you're going to provide the support, the number one is the export businesses, so which is including IT. So if they're able to provide the electricity for people to work and the fuel for their generators to come, generators to run, so then that's nothing more you can ask from the government. So when there was a 13-hour power cut
yes.
in the on early April,
Yes.
so we had like a huge issue to run the company, because our customers are waiting for the product. So we cannot really tell our customers,
We have power cuts.
we have power cuts. How can you say? Like they might ask, don't you have any other offices in the other countries? Or why do you run the businesses here? So please need to provide this energy. So that's the primary requirement.
Correct. And I believe it's also a time where when the world sees that Sri Lanka is having problems, you see some of the countries in the world trying to grab those business opportunities. There were some advertisements being shown on social media by Indian companies that provide spaces for IT startups saying, is your startup in Sri Lanka suffering with power cuts? Why don't you set it up in India? And it's a direct threat, Anushka. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so some of the biggest companies in here, they are thinking about moving to India. And so without even like India telling, the companies here, they're looking at other options because it's very hard to run the businesses without the energy. And also like moving forward, so because we have this negative image about Sri Lanka, and when you want to like bring more businesses back to Sri Lanka, especially IT companies and IT outsourcing, so you have to market our resources in the Western countries, like what the way the tourism did in 2010-2011 period, the land like no other, visit Sri Lanka, that sort of program.
Correct.
The government has to spend money into other countries to promote our IT industry as a brand.
Right now, I haven't seen any campaign or like any focused campaign focusing on the Sri Lankan IT services. I believe Slascom has developed a campaign called Island of Ingenuity, if I'm not mistaken, but I don't know to what extent that has taken wings worldwide, Anushka.
Yeah, so there were some meetups happen about like a last 5-6 years time, and there was like a small gathering. So you invite the entrepreneurs, the business leaders in the certain countries, and collaborate with the IT entrepreneurs from Sri Lanka. So then, due to pandemic, it's pretty much like not up and running right now. So I'm more thinking about like having a mass scale marketing campaign.
Hit the
world and asking people to start their IT businesses here and market our IT businesses into other countries. So the companies like the corporates, so outsource your projects for the IT companies in Sri Lanka. We are at a good rate with the high talent and more reliable resources.
Yeah. And we do have brilliant case studies, don't we, Anushka? I mean, there are companies in Sri Lanka that are building solutions for some of the top entertainment companies in the world, top airlines in the world, top banks in the world are using our software. Clearly, we have enough case studies, but once again, we are not having a proper concentrated marketing effort.
Exactly. So because those companies by themselves, they attract the customers from the other country, as you said, the airline, the top corporates, the governments, and so there's no involvement from the governments here, and there's no support from the government, unfortunately. So at least we have to spend some sort of budget from amount of money or amount of revenue we earn through the IT industry is 1.5 billion. So if you spend in 0.1 billion or 0.2 billion into advertising, marketing, and get the more revenue up and running, that's acting as a boomerang. So you have to spend, and you will bring more businesses.
It's the fundamental principle: to earn money, you have to spend money.
Exactly.
Anushka, let's talk about this current crisis we are having: fuel shortages, protests, electricity disruption. Let's admit, we even saw the IT industry on the street twice, demanding the government to take the right action, because clearly the government seems to have neglected the IT industry as well. In your view, as an entrepreneur, what are the disruptions that you're facing? We all know that you are getting disrupted by these fuel shortages, electricity shortages, and so on. But from your perspective, how bad is that situation?
And also, like, there's another huge impact into IT businesses because the individuals focus, because they are focused not fully into the job, because they have.
And it's hard to do that, no, Anushka. I mean, your mother might be in the gas queue, your wife might be in the petrol queue, your children can't go to school. I don't think it's fair to expect them to focus.
Exactly, because they really like struggling to survive as a human being.
Correct.
So same time you have to do your job. So it's very hard hard for them to focus, and it is very hard for the companies to take the full effort from their human resources because they are not fully focused and they are distracted the daily basis. The issues here happen in the protests, the government issues, the no power, no gas, no food, that sort of stuff.
Understood. Let's talk about overseas customers. Now, overseas customers are always looking for stability. They want stable countries where the politics are stable, where the people can operate without any disruptions, faster results and faster output. Is Sri Lanka at the risk of losing its IT projects to neighboring countries like India and Bangladesh? And what is your experience on this matter?
Yeah, if we are in a similar situation in next 12 months time, I can guarantee 50% of the companies won't be here. How
50%?
50% of the companies, they are looking at the other option. So you want foreign currency, you want dollars, same time you are losing dollars. So you need to take an action now. So talking about the credit lines, the loans, etc., etc. Where are you going to spend those credit lines and loans? So you need to spend that on the businesses. So let businesses to earn dollars, let businesses to earn foreign currency. So if you don't if you don't support businesses to earn foreign currency, ultimately, like you are going to run out of the money, run out of the dollars here. So it's a huge risk, and the companies are looking at the other option because in India they don't have the electricity issue, so they are doing well. The Pakistans, yes, they have some sort of issues. Bangladesh, they're doing great. And not only that, so some of the Eastern European countries like even there's a war in Ukraine, but
Still they are performing well.
Still they are performing well.
Correct.
The other countries like Poland, the Yugoslavian countries, they have
especially Eastern Europe is coming out very strongly as a IT hub, isn't it?
Exactly, because the human resources, they are like a very well trained, so they are into the industry from very young age.
And compared to the rest of Europe, the labor cost is cheap as well.
That's right.
The countries like Romania and so on.
Yeah. So when you're talking about like the Western European countries like Britain, France, German, there's a high cost. But when talking about the Eastern Europe, you can have like a similar quality for the cheaper price.
Correct. Anushka, as an IT entrepreneur, and I need an honest stance on this, is the government listening to these concerns? When you reach out to the government, when Slascom and the local IT firms reach out to the government, are they listening? Do they understand the problem? At least, are they looking at giving a solution? What's going on behind the scene?
I don't think there's anybody to listen there, unfortunately. So yes, the companies, they have the individual voices. They approaching the government and asking what sort of help they need. So I feel like as Slascom or as a union, as a number of companies comes together and asking them what we really require, because the export business here, so they don't strong in Sri Lanka. So if you're talking about top 10 companies in Sri Lanka, what other companies comes to your mind? So how many export businesses are there? So the export businesses as a together, so they should approach the government and asking what they require. Same time, now we are in a bit of transition period, and so as soon as there is individuals really establishing their positions in the government, so should approach and they should consider about the export business, about the IT industry, what help they can provide, because they need IT industry to be survive, and they need IT industry to be grow, and the country, our people themselves, they need foreign currency. So then if you're taking 1.5 into 3 billion in next 3 years time, that's a huge success.
Correct. Now, in the current context, Anushka, as you said, who is going to listen to these IT problems is the big concern. Let's say if there is a minister appointed for the IT sector, for the IT industry, what should that minister's priorities be with regard to, I would say, growing the IT sector or stabilizing the IT sector? What should be the main priorities of that minister? Top 3 priorities, if I were to ask you, as an entrepreneur.
Sure. One is they should looking at the short-term problems and short-term solutions. So what's the short fuel and things? So need
energy.
to like energy, need to coordinate with the other ministry like the power and energy. So to providing the constant supply of the energy. So and midterm, so you need to think about what sort of support you can provide the IT industry to win the global market. So as I said, the marketing support, so advertise Sri Lanka as an IT hub around the globe. And more long term, so need to collaborate with the education ministry, the higher education ministry, how you're going to grow the IT talent, how you're going to create more individuals, more skill set into the industry, so introducing more and more courses, more up-to-date courses in the university, and encourage the school students to take IT as a subject and progressing through the IT. So those are like three things I can think about: the short-term solution and the mid-term advertising marketing support, and the long-term the creating and generating more individuals into the industry.
How can we really start exporting our IT solutions to the rest of the world? What are the steps involved in taking your IT business to the world? Let's talk about that on the other side of this short break. This is Bisnomics. Welcome back to Bisnomics, your weekend's most profitable 60 minutes. Our focus today is on IT export sector of Sri Lanka, and we are in conversation with Anushka Bandara. Anushka, now we spoke about before the break the role that the government has to play. What about the universities, the MBA providing universities and institutions, the MBA programs? How should these programs and universities change their approach to produce more IT entrepreneurs?
So the master's program, Masters of Business Administration, so the people follow those courses. But I strongly believe the masters so has to be like more specialized courses. So another example, like we have like huge demand for the iOS app developers, which mean the mobile app developers into iPhones.
For the iPhone. Yes.
Unfortunately, only 2 universities in Sri Lanka providing those courses. So the universities, so they have to update their courses, especially like a master's program, like not just a generic MBA program. So you have to think about like a more MSc program into the engineering, into the IT, into the artificial intelligence.
Now, from your experience, you are based in Australia, you operate out of Melbourne, and what are the changes, differences in the education system you see in Australia compared to Sri Lanka that fuels the growth of IT entrepreneurs there? You have a slight smile, and that's indirectly saying it's like the sky and the earth. It's so vast. Share that difference with us, Anushka.
Yeah. So the Australian universities, they change in their courses, the structures, subjects like every semester. So they're looking at what's market really needed. So they have a constant market study. So what's the market require? So they change in courses accordingly. Not only that, so recently I have seen there's a huge area they have improved short courses. So the universities, they started to providing short courses for the individuals who is in the industry or individuals in a matured age who wanted to change their career, and same time the government support if you are wanted to change your career. So there's a program going on. So if you into the digital industry, so the government subsidized the companies in first 3 months of salary for the employer. So then encourage individuals to take the risk and study the technology, study the IT, and jump into the market. So those sort of things happening, and the universities offer the courses, that is the government funded courses, so the individuals can follow those courses, the matured audience, then they are at the end of the day, they are going to come to the industry.
Understood. Now, when we talk about digital transformation, now gone are the days where when you talk of tech, where you only talk about software and web development and so on. That was 1990s and early 2000s. Today, Anushka, we talk about digital transformation technologies, industry 4.0 technologies, blockchain, Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, 3D printing, all these areas. Now, how ready are the Sri Lankan IT companies to capture this market opportunity?
Especially like IoT, Internet of Things, so which is not like a real hot topic in Sri Lanka. So the Sri Lanka predominantly a market, predominantly an industry, so where you provide the software engineering solution. So you very rarely you are interconnect with the hardware, but the blockchain is a current big thing, and the machine learning and artificial intelligence are current big things, and even the biggest software companies in the world, they are decided to move into those blockchain, the artificial intelligence, virtual reality as an example, Facebook. So they completely rebranded,
Correct.
move into the
Now they call
virtual
it
metaverse.
Correct, metaverse. And we see so many global fashion brands are already shifting into the metaverse.
Exactly. So in Sri Lanka, so we have a capability, and we are into the new technology, emerging technology. We grab the emerging technology faster than any other countries in our region. So there's a
We
huge.
grab it, but what do we do after that?
Then we don't capitalize. So then someone like India, they capitalize. So they don't grab things quickly, but when the industry is growing, they capitalize the market. So there's a huge opportunity to capitalize, to grab these industries. So then you have to pump more skill set to grow the market.
Correct. What are the hot technologies in your view, which young IT students should, who is, let's say, a young IT student who is studying IT right now, what are the hot technologies, Anushka, that they should prepare themselves for?
Still, the mobile softwares, mobile app development is a very high topic and huge demand. You can earn more after a couple of years of experience. And the other technologies like the machine learning is huge, and the artificial intelligence, and the virtual reality, augmented reality, the blockchain. So all those emerging technologies are doing really great. I still encourage the young IT student to pursue their career, start their career into the mobile app development and study the programming language like Swift and Kotlin and moving forward.
Anushka, what are your thoughts about the potential for freelancers? Because today, I mean, every IT professional has a chance to be providing services worldwide. You have platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and so on, where somebody will mention a project, you can bid, and if your price is right, Bob's your uncle, you get the project. Now, what are your thoughts on that? The opportunities for areas such as software development, mobile development, digital design work, even simple data entry work, Anushka, which can be easily carried out via some of these platforms like Fiverr, Upwork. What are your thoughts on that? Are Sri Lankans missing out on the opportunities?
The big scale IT projects require a team. So those freelancing channels, so they require individuals. And there's a lot of freelancers here, so they have found hard because their income is not really predictable.
Correct.
After they complete their project, there might be like a 2 months gap, 3 month gap till they find their next project. And those freelancing websites, so the customers who is in those websites, they are looking at an individual for a simple project.
Yep.
And it doesn't.
But some of those simple projects can be worth $10,000, $20,000.
That's right. So if you are lucky enough, so you find some project and you start with the simple project.
Correct.
Maybe they can be a big customer. They introduce yourself to another customer, so maybe another company. That individual customer is maybe working for a big corporate. So then you are being invited to work on their projects. Yes, there's a huge opportunity for you to get to know like more and more customers around the world, and then you can get to know other individuals who has a similar skill set, similar mindset. You can perform a team and work as a team.
Correct.
So yes.
And on a final note, for a Sri Lankan IT firm that wants to go and start operating in another market, wants to get customers from another market, Anushka, in other words, you're somebody who has done that. You set up a company in Australia, you have built a skill pool in Sri Lanka. What are the steps involved? What is your advice to any Sri Lankan IT entrepreneur who is looking at expanding to the world out there? what would you tell them?
So you have to have like a vision. Just don't really start an IT business, or don't just be an entrepreneur if you are just like the money. So you should have passion, and you should enjoy what you are doing. So you should enjoy solving the problem. You should enjoy the managing people. You should enjoy taking the challenges. So if you have those characteristics, if you are passionate about these things, yes, start your business and start your build a team and work with your friends, start with, and then go out to your customers. And customer service is very, very important at the early stage of your business and your career. So if you provide what your customer is required, your customer never going to leave you, because they don't want like being introduced to another supplier. So they wanted to work with the same people, because as an IT entrepreneur or IT company, you know the project. So it's very hard in the industry for the project transition, because there's a lot of documentation involved, a lot of opportunity times going at a loss. So be passionate, have a vision, and focus what you're doing. Plus, there's a lot of ups and downs, so you have to know how to survive when things are not really working out of your way. So don't be panic and focus what you have to do. The good time will come.
And for a local IT firm that is setting up overseas, what do you advise? Do you advise going and starting office abroad, which might be expensive, or do you advise partnering with existing companies? Are there platforms where people can go and connect with? Anushka, what are your thoughts on that?
So best thing is partner with the company who has the local knowledge, because if you are opening a business in another country, it's going to be like a huge cost. So if you are a startup or medium level company, you can't really bear the expenses. So it's better the partner with the local company who has got the local knowledge, who knows some sort of customers, and who knows what to do with the sales and marketing. And maybe, so the companies, overseas companies who has the project, who has the customer base, you becoming a contractor, because those overseas companies, they might have like 10 projects. So if you have become a contractor, you starting with the one project. If you're doing really well, they will give you another 2 projects. So that's the best approach, I believe, rather doing sales and marketing from scratch.
So partnership is the way to grow.
Partnership is the way to grow.
Anushka Bandara, it was an absolute pleasure hosting you today in Bisnomics. It's great to see Sri Lankans going and setting up IT ventures overseas, but still having that emotional connection with Sri Lanka, working with the local talent, growing the local talent. These are the kind of stories that we like to take to the people, and we hope more people get inspired and do the same. Continue to fulfill global opportunities while using the best of the local talent we have. It was a pleasure having you once again, and all the best to you and your team.
Thanks a lot, Tarindu. Thanks for inviting me for your show, and thanks a lot.
Growing our dollar reserves, going beyond the traditional exports. Well, IT sector definitely has the potential. If you're an IT entrepreneur, make sure that you continue to look out for the global opportunities. And remember, partnerships is the way to grow your business beyond the borders of Sri Lanka. I'm Tarindu Amarasekara, and no matter what business you may be in, have a profitable week ahead. I will see you with the next episode. This is Bisnomics.